It is so good to be back, and it's definitely good to be back when the LSU baseball Tigers do take the series over Alabama. It's just always good to beat Alabama. Refreshed, rejuvenized is your boy coming back from the vacation. Nevertheless, we're alive. Learned a lot of things about myself in 5 days off. How about that? I hope you learned a lot about yourself too. In the 5 days that we have not, at least not live, been able to talk to one another, well, you'll be seeing my ugly mug for the next, year until we go on the next vacation. Nevertheless, LSU baseball does take the series against Alabama. We'll break all of that game down. We missed a shitload of stuff. You and I missed a shitload of stuff and things that we got to get to on the Ponderosa, off the Ponderosa. Guys like David Stone entering the portal, but he can't come to you, but can he? No. And the lies that continue to flutter out there about what LSU will and will not do. And if anybody tells you, your uncle down the street, your uncle up the corner, your uncle at the barbershop tells you that LSU isn't kicking tires in the portal in the spring period, they are lying. But we will get to that as well. It is good to be back with you. Let me start off this, since I have not been live since the news of Kyron Lacey. I was thinking about doing a short video while we're on vacation and talking about the remembrance of Kyron. I have had the opportunity on 4 occasions to meet Kyron outside of just being at practice. I am just going to echo the words of his father. Losing one life is horrible in an incident. Losing multiple is a tragedy. I hate that we have been in this situation the last couple of years twice, where one young man lost his life, regardless of what you think of him, and another was seriously injured unto nobody's being other than it being happenstance with Greg Brooks. I've seen a lot of bad comments about Kyron Lacey, and a lot of you who like to grave walk and walk on another man's graves. Guys, you weren't there. You know, I thought about this a lot in the time off, and I thought to myself, I've never really talked about my past, ever. And I will just say this. In 10 years total of trying to be a good public servant, on and off, going and climbing the ladder in different organizations, people who assume that someone is guilty before given their day in court is beyond me of what our Constitution upholds and what it was never intended to be. But people with an iPhone get a say, just like what I started out with and built this business into being. I do get to come out here on camera and get a say. So do you. And the freedom that you have in that is spectacular. But I've seen some things said about players after losing a guy like Kyron Lacey. And some of those, even with you being in a very tough series already against Alabama, I've seen you in my comment section calling guys and players that are college students losers. Maybe you need to get your head checked. In reference to Kyron Lacey, you will be remembered. Always a ball of energy. My thoughts and prayers on this Good Friday, the day that our Lord Jesus Christ died on the cross for our sins. It's what I believe. We remember Kyron Lacey. I've had a couple of days to think about it, and it never ceases to amaze me, the outright hatred that happens. I pray for their family. I pray for the kids that I talk to, and I say kids, that I talk to on a regular basis that are on that team, that are in that position group, that are devastated about this happening. To the Lacey family, to the LSU family, and you, the normal LSU fan who mourns this loss, it is a tough one. So I wanted to start it off with that. I hate to start anything off negatively to that extent, but we are here. We are praying for the Lacey family. Let's get to it here. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share to all those groups. If you're on Facebook and to all those social media pages, you're watching us, listening to us on YouTube, like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Every post-game show, they are back. They're back.
We're back.
It's presented to you by our friends over at betonline.ag. Guys, college baseball is here. It is the thing of spring. Get over to betonline.ag. Place your bets. If you wanted to bet on the Tigers tomorrow, taking the series versus the Alabama Crimson Tide, you can do that. Use that promo code BELIEVE50. That's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50. You'll receive a 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's BetOnline, where the game starts. And also our good friends over at ServiceHawk Digital Media, where they soar above the competition. Guys, if you need right leads, smart systems, and real growth for your business, HVAC, if you're an electrical pro, if you're a generator pro, guys, you need to get over to ServiceHawk Digital Media. Guys, everybody during the summer, you know what it is. Their AC is going to go out. The family whose AC goes out is going to Google HVAC near me, companies near me. Who can fix my AC? Let ServiceHawk Digital Media help run that algorithm for you. That's ServiceHawk Digital Media, where they soar above the competition. I do see some comments that are off in here. We'll get to those. We will get to those. None better than our good friend who probably, if I had to play some odds, might be in town next weekend. I don't know. But he said, I hope you enjoy your vacation, GOAT. You as well, my good friend Chris Phillips. Said, hardest working man in showbiz. The R&R was well-deserved. Now a sprint to Omaha. I will be there. If they make it, I will be there. You have my word. Also, new little quick update. I got so many compliments on the premiere series that we did in reference to like new content and premiering it at 2:30. I've heard from probably 50 of you. You asked for it to keep going. We will continue to do it. Something that you never know is going to happen, and you work hard and great things happen. To all those that sent us, Daniel, Brian, Seth, and Matt, all who sent us messages, just the top four that I saw there at the end. We'll continue to do those premieres. Anyway, let's get to some baseball here. Nevertheless, Anthony Ianson starts off the first inning in a little bit of trouble. Gives up a line drive single into right field to Fowler, and then a line drive double into left field to Justin LeBron, who, guys, I mean, is one of the best players in the SEC. You hear Ben McDonald and them might be the number one overall pick next year. I don't know if he is or if he isn't, but he's had some moments. You've also shut him down some, but you didn't shut him down in the first inning. And right there, I could already feel the vibe. Oh, we won last night, but here we go again. I see it. I see it. You're in the DMs. You're in the comments. I see it. And after giving up 2 line drives, and you get an RBI fielder's choice by Snell, who, by the way, back-to-back weeks, you saw a left fielder, or an outfielder, I should say, an outfielder that's a lefty that can absolutely rake. That being Ike Irish, and that being Snell from Bama. Guys, I don't give a shit what anybody tells me. The SEC, they got, bro, you got some serious power in the SEC. There's a lot of dudes that scare me. Snell, for me, and I agree with Ben McDonald, he has been, good Lord, have mighty. He's been fantastic. He still squares one up, hits one hard to Danny Dickinson. They do play to run, and you get an out. Wouldn't matter, though, because Bonamolo would walk, and you got runners on first and third. Hodo would strike out, so you finally get your second out, Anthony Ianson would start off his strikeout streak with Hodo coming in. So the first 4 guys in the lineup tonight, and even if you remember, some of the runs in early in the game last night, which we did not get to do a postgame for, and I hated that because it was like I tweeted out, if you saw, I tweeted out the whole like, man, I feel like you're an inning away from breaking this one loose, breaking out of this slump that you're in. Then Ashton Larson tattoos one over the right field wall, and it was kind of like last night. It felt like, in a way, like, man, they're coming out strong, they're coming out early. That's what she said. And how are you going to stop this bleeding? Because after the first 2 really hit balls that Anthony Ianson gave up, from there on, he was pretty much locked down. Hodo would strike out. Torres would walk. So you have bases loaded, and Stanton comes to the plate, and Anthony Ianson delivers in the first bases loaded jam that he would have in the game, getting the massive strikeout. So again, kind of a typical Anthony Ianson start, it feels like. Doesn't start off fast, starts off a little bit slow, and he has some issues early. But, man, I got to tell you, I felt as if that even in that first inning, that it was a massive win for you, right? Like, I really felt as if that getting out of that bases-loaded jam was a massive deal for you. A massive deal for, number one, because you were in a situation where you got out of what could have been outright disaster. You start asking a team that kind of just got out of a slump and still working through some things at the plate. You give up 2, 3, 4 runs in that first inning. Man, you're looking at a completely different path here. But I felt like once you mitigated that risk, right? Like once that risk was mitigated by Anthony Ianson in the first, it's kind of like what we were tweeting last night. I know we didn't go live, but it's the same thought process. I was like, listen, man, I know that you're down a run, and I know that it's the first inning, and you haven't even come to the plate yet. But, man, that feels like a momentum win to me. And when you start stacking those momentums, great shit starts happening. It definitely would for Anthony Ianson. Bottom of the first, look, you didn't do anything spectacular at the plate in reference to on paper. The problem is that Derek Curiel hit a line drive to Justin LeBron that was an out. You got a ground ball single right back up the middle by Danny Dickinson. Jones struck out. We'll talk about Jared Jones at the end of the show. I'm not going to get to it here. I probably should get to it here. I'm not going to get to Jared Jones yet. I want to see Jared Jones go through another game. If he struggles again on tomorrow, then we'll have more of a in-depth conversation. Right now, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. He's in a slump a little bit. Still got an RBI double in the game, but he's kind of struggling a little bit against the SEC. He strikes out there. You have 2 really hard hit balls, one that's out, one that's a ground ball back up the middle. Stephen Milan hits a line drive that Quick, the pitcher for Alabama, I guess pun, dad joke intended, which none of you really liked me saying that one, I guess, has quick hands, and he's able to get the out there. And you have a lot of balls that are hit very hard by LSU in the bottom of the first. Anthony Ianson, see, we keep talking about this momentum. You know, it's funny. I was in a group chat, and just some people were talking about the game, baseball, whatever, and they were like, this pitching staff isn't developing. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I don't agree with you, but okay. Anthony Ianson in the second strikes out the side. Guys, the stuff is there. The electricity is there. The outright gross shit that he throws is there. Feel like he's just got to work through some things, and you're going to have to allow that because when he's on, he's one of the better pitchers in the SEC right now. Right now he is. But he strikes out Brady Neal, who Jay Johnson stole more bases on Brady Neal this series than he has in any other series, for what that's worth. He strikes out Norton, and he goes back to the top of lineup and strikes out Fowler. 1, 2, 3, and he K's up the side. Bottom of the second, Ethan Fry leads it off. He strikes out, and you get a ground ball single over the third baseman's head, a little chopper by Pearson. You would have a hard ground ball hit to the shortstop by Michael Braswell, and then Cade Aaron Beatty, who has started the last 2 games, would strike out swinging. So you go through 2, and you have some hard hit balls. Braswell hitting one to short. You got Pearson that hits a hard one to third. Aaron Beatty does strike out, and so does Ethan Fry. So go through 2 innings. Look, first time through the lineup, and quite frankly, a lot of balls that were hit hard, just right at some people. Top of the third, Anthony Ianson would strike out Justin LeBron. We get a weak ground ball by Snell to Jared Jones. And I want to start there with Snell. Listen, you have one of the best power hitters in the SEC. Guy's only struck out 6 times. Dude's going to put the ball in play. He hits the ball very hard. He's gotten into rollover twice. First inning, you give up a run, not what you want. You strike out the side, you come into the third. You get a strikeout to LeBron and a weak ground out. Anthony Ianson is in complete control, rolling to the third. I thought that was a massive at bat, right? Like, hey man, you just struck out the side. How do you're still in a 1-run game? How do you keep performing here now that you start going through the second time in the lineup and deliver? Get Snell to roll over. Bonamolo would walk, and then you get a fielder's choice to Stephen Milam to get you out of the third inning. So really efficient inning for Anthony Ianson, only giving up 1 run through 3 innings. Bottom of the third, this is where things got interesting for you. This is why I don't want to talk about Jared Jones at the current moment, is because of what happened in the bottom of the third. Stanfield, who went 4 for 4 tonight and is hotter than a crack spoon and is absolutely Stanfield, okay, guys, he's hitting 340. He leads the team in batting average in the SEC for you. He is like on NBA Jam, okay? He is legitimately the dude that's on fire. He has been money for you. Even in the sweep last week, I thought he had some big hits. Just nobody could get him home. He had some big moments against Auburn, and you couldn't get him home. Dude is one of the – I agree with Jay for what it's worth. I think he's one of, if not the best non-hole hitter in the country. Dude, I don't know if you don't shake some things up. I would leave him in the non-hole. I mean, look, man, if it's not broke, don't fix it, because he's just like another leadoff guy for you. There's no way that I'm taking Chris Stanfield out of that 9-hole right now. I understand the thought from some of you that I saw, and I understand the thought of if maybe shuffling some things up, but man, he's just been scorching hot. I'm not moving him. Let him stay there. But he leads off with an infield single to Justin LeBron. LeBron would have an error on the play, so they awarded Chris Stanfield a single, but on the throw, meaning it would have been a tough play regardless. If it would a good throw, it would have just been an infield single. They do award Justin LeBron an infield single even with the bad throw by Justin LeBron. Curiel. Twice tonight, Derek Curiel had a runner on second base, Chris Stanfield. And both times he hit a pop-up into the outfield about 2 foot away from the warning track. We look at that and say, man, that's an out. I don't see it that way. I see that you have one out, no outs, runner on second, and you're advancing the runner. He did that twice. By the way, you scored on both of those. Both of them. That is winning baseball. So on the stat sheet, you could say whatever you want about Derek Curiel, whatever it is. And he's the one that got a big 2 RBIs for you later in the game. Even that at bat, even in that out, it's so productive that you get a run over to third that advanced Chris Stanfield. Danny Dickinson would hit a really hard ground ball to third base. They would not give him the infield single. They would award Torres with an error, but a run would score and you're tied. But Danny Dickinson would be on second base regardless, and you got an RBI double by Jared Jones to take the lead. I understand the thought process of the Jared Jones. We'll talk about that at the end of this. But, man, I mean, he gets the RBI double, fastball, belt high. He takes it the opposite way. Ben really broke this one down in the telecast. If you were watching, 98 miles an hour on the outside half, belt high. He takes it the opposite way. Jared Jones is not doing that a year ago. He's not doing it. He's going to try to kill the baseball with 2 strikes. He gives you the lead there. I know you want him to come through in the bottom of the 8th with the bases loaded. I'm just going to hold off on the Bear right now. For me, I got to hold off. Stephen Milan would hit a fly ball in. Let me just say this before we get to Jones at the end here. He performed when it's tied. When you absolutely needed him, he was there, like for sure. I understand some of the at-bats. Just not giving up on him yet and saying like, hey, man, we have a little bit of an issue here. Because I don't think I'm not close to being there. I shouldn't say I'm not close to being there. I'm not close to saying that it's like so bad that you got to move him, because it's not. I mean, he broke the game open for you. He gave you the lead, which you would not give back, by the way, in a 4-3 win. So it's a big at-bat there. Stephen Milam, like I said, flew out into left field, not center field. Ethan Fry would walk, and Pearson would fly out into center field. That was the 8 instead of 7 that I saw there. Anthony Ianson in the top of the 4th leads off with a walk. This is when he get in a little bit of trouble again. So the first inning and the 4th inning is where he gets the bases loaded. Gives up a walk, a ground ball single into the 4-hole. Brady Neal has a sack bunt that he was able to make a really good play on, and then he gets the sack bunt, a strikeout, and then a walk. So he's got bases loaded, and Justin LeBron is back up again. Remember, we were talking about that earlier. LeBron coming in like, damn, man, it's the 3rd time he's seeing him. Bases are loaded for a guy who's hitting 500 with runners in scoring position, 700 with the bases juiced. And guys, you're in a 1-run ball game here. A 1-run ball game. Guys, Anthony Ianson delivered. Now, did he get himself in both of those bases loaded situations? Yes. But it's very impressive to me against a really good team, against guys what might be, and some have, what's the word I want to use here? Some have dubbed Justin LeBron as the number 1 overall pick in next year's draft. Bases loaded, you come up and you strike him out. And Anthony Ianson gets his 8th K of the night. Walk, ground ball, sack bunt, walk. The walks are what killed him. It's not because that he is necessarily in this inning being touched like he was in the first. This inning, he's not. The walks are getting to him. Now, here's Blake putting on purple and gold glasses. My purple and gold glasses take is either I'm just too much of an LSU fan or Anthony Ianson in that 4th really got squeezed. It's tough in the position that I feel like I'm in sometimes, and just sharing it with you here, that, hey, man, I want every call to go for LSU. And in wanting every call to go for LSU, am I giving too much to LSU? Like, hey, man, is that pitch really a ball? Right? Like, is it really a ball? Like, I mean, come on. Like, if it's a couple of inches off the plate, okay, it's a ball. You want it, but it's still a ball. There were some pitches tonight that I really felt like that Ianson got squeezed where Bama didn't. And he had to work around that. And guess what he did? Against, again, arguably, one of the best just pure hitters, one of the best players, not only in the SEC, but guys, the country. They talked about last night on the telecast, if Justin LeBron was in this draft, he'd go 2 behind Laviolette. That's insane just thinking about it in and of itself. But he gets you out of the inning. I will be honest with you. After getting out of that bases loaded inning, I never felt, even in a 1-run game, that you'd lose it. I did feel like that at that moment, after getting out of 2 bases loaded jams and only giving up a run, you had seized all the momentum. The reason I felt like you had seized all the momentum, and I tweeted this, keep seizing the momentum, is because every time that you have big situations like that, striking out LeBron, getting out with only 1 run in the first inning, is what happens right after. 3 pitches later, Michael Braswell would hit a line drive double into right field. Dude's hitting 330 in the SEC. And he leads you off. Kate Aaron Beatty, ground ball, line drive technically, but it goes as a 6-3. But line drive, ground ball, 1 hopper to Justin LeBron. Stanfield gets a bloop single into center field. They wanted to award him a double, but it was never a double. A single, but he did advance. And then Derek Curiel, 40 straight games. 40 straight games. Guys, you've played 40 games. He's reached base in every one of them. He is a freshman. He is a freshman. The arm that came out from the bullpen for you last night is a freshman. And with a 2 RBI single, line drive into center field, right back where it came from, Derek Curiel blows the game wide open in the 4th. Momentum, when you're struggling, get you out of it. And that's what you seized to get the series victory tonight. That one was the play of the game for me. The 2 RBI single into center field. Even before that, Derek Curiel is such a crucial part, even of getting the run in from Stanfield the inning before, where the run would advance. It's such a critical situation, very critical situation, and the young freshman delivers. Line drive single for Danny Dickinson, who went 3 for 4 on the night. Jones would fly out into right field. Milam would walk, and Ashton Larson would get a pitch hit for Ethan Fry after his heroics last night, which, listen, I want to stop with Ashton Larson on this pitch hit opportunity. I love it came from him. Absolutely adore it. I adore it. This is why you love baseball. Dude started for you last year, got beat out. Last night, Jay Johnson pushes all of the right buttons. I thought when Jay, who called on Josh Pearson and Ashton Larson to pitch hit, which the first pitch that Josh Pearson saw was a line drive into right field single, and Ashton Larson then hits a 3-run bomb. I thought that I would go to Twitter and see floods of people like praising Jay Johnson's moves there. They said that it was to be expected. No, a guy hitting 220 to pull that button last night was fantastic. Ashton Larson came in tonight. I saw a lot of people mad that he didn't get to start tonight, and he struck out twice. So even though Larson did get the big hit last night, he turns around and he strikes out twice in what was a critical spot there in the 4th, where you could have continued to blow that game wide open. You had a 2 RBI single right back up the middle. Danny Dickinson hits a line drive, and you got runners on second and third, and for 3 straight batters cannot get any more runs home. So this starts another debate. Leaving runners on has been a big issue. Quite frankly, if there is one thing, is that under Jay, is that they've always had that struggle. And people get mad when he bunts. But Jake Brown did have a beauty last night, but nobody cares about that. Anthony Ianson would come in to the top of the 5th. He'd go to Snell. He'd get a ground ball single into the 4-hole, but we get a fly out and 2 strikeouts. Hodo and Torres would strike out. And Anthony Ianson, who's already over 100 pitches, would go and get his 10th strikeout of the evening. Bottom of the fifth, this is where you start struggling. So Alabama countered with one of their better bullpen arms and Myers. Pearson goes down looking. Braswell, a ground ball to second base. Cade Aaron strikes out. Look, man, this Myers kid from Alabama, he's good, man. I mean, he's been good against a lot of teams. It's the reason his ERA sitting high in the twos, but very efficient. Very, very, very efficient. And he mowed you down. With all due respect to our hitters and all due respect to LSU, he mowed you down. For 3 innings, he did. I mean, he got after you. Sometimes you got to tip the cap in baseball. Anthony Ianson, though, would get you a very crucial inning going into the 6th. Well over 100 pitches. He gets Stanton, Neal to both strike out. He gets his 11th and 12th strikeouts of the evening. And I want to pause here. Ben McDonald said something tonight that I thought was critical. This is the best team ERA that LSU has had since 2015. Y'all do remember who's on that 2015 team, don't you? That's a lot to be said. I know that Cade Anderson got blitzed last night with some just one-run home runs. And Cade's got to work on that. But guys, through 11 innings pitched, roughly 11 innings pitched, your Friday and Saturday night guy, of those 11 innings, of those 33 outs that you got, they struck out 22 of them. 22. 22. Guys, I just don't think that Cade Anderson will be touched like that. What I think is happening here, to an extent, Anthony Ianson loves pitching at the box. That is a fact. If you're going to give me 11 innings pitched in 22 strikeouts every weekend and you don't tell me anything else, I am taking that shit. Guys, Nate Yeske has come under fire for a lot of stuff. 22 strikeouts and 33 outs is freaking insane. It is borderline legit, elite. What doesn't make it elite is the other context that comes to it. You have walks that are generated in there. You have some home runs that you gave up last night that are generated in there as well. And I understand that. But if you're going to give me 22 in 2 starts and you're averaging 11 Ks, my Jesus, please, sweet baby Jesus, give it to me every time. And you're going past 5 innings, please, sweet Jesus. Elite shit. It's elite shit. Anthony Ianson, in his last at bat of the night, would get a line out to Stephen Milam on a pitch hitter from Young Jr. to end his night. So wrap up on Anthony Ianson. 2 innings, the first and the fourth. Look, for me, I felt as if that he just he can make his own chaos. The good thing is that tonight he got out of that chaos. And it wasn't that he did not go up against scrubs in doing it. He simply did not. And that's what you got to take to the bank, because I am for sure. So I don't know what the magic moment of the night is. I'm not going to pretend to know right now. I'm sure they'll post it. But that shit is elite. It is elite. Because that is a team in Alabama that will make it to the postseason. They will be there. Regardless of where they go, regardless if you ever see them again, they will be there. It was elite. Borderline elite. But I'll take it every time. Bottom of the 6th, Chris Stanfield would hit a line drive double into left center field, but no one's able to bring him home. Curiel flies out to center field that would advance the runner. And with a runner on third, again, man, you had that twice last night too. Runner on third, 1 out. Danny Dickinson strikes out and Bear Jones strikes out. I want to take the time to talk about this. Put the ball in play. I can live with you hitting the ball to third base and a run not scoring. I can live with it. What I can't live with sometimes is you getting a runner on third and Chris Stanfield. Guys, that happened twice last night. And it happened again tonight. I love the game of baseball more than you know. Really, I do. I hate sometimes where the new part of the game has taken us. You know, Chipper Jones said this a couple of weeks ago, and it stuck to my mind, and it's been in my mind for quite some time. Long are the days that a guy will just try to get on top of the baseball and take the ball the other way. Get the ball on the ground the other way to get a run in. Those strikeouts were critical. They were critical. So as much as I'm blowing smoke up the starting pitching, and I'm not saying it's the end-all, be-all, but, man, put the ball in play. Put the ball in play. Do it. Get a job done. Like Derek Uriel early in the game and like he did the second time around with Chris Stanfield with no outs standing on second base. If he's not getting a hit, he's giving production and advancing the runner. And as much as Danny Dickinson is squared up this year, sometimes take a little bit of the sacrifice. Pun intended. I have not liked this year. There's one thing that just a runner on third sometimes will lack the fundamental fortitude to just wanting to put the ball in play. Put the ball in play. That gets up that pisses me off sometimes. As a fan, it pisses me off. But you live to fight another day. Zach Cowan would come into the top of the sixth, and back-to-back nights that we would see Zach Cowan. I thought this tonight for Zach Cowan was critical. The reason I thought it was critical tonight is because we saw him do something we haven't seen him done or do since the beginning of the season, and that has come in back-to-back games. I was wondering, and why Jay was so pissed off last night with Connor Benj not being able to get you out of the game and having to go and get Cowan, was you had to get him up, you had to get him warm, and then you had to bring him in to pitch. So you're giving guys a look at him up close before you'd have to go to him again tonight. It was critical for Connor Bench to get you out of it. It didn't lose you the series, as some people have tried to convince me of, even though you won it. Sometimes I feel like we lost the series, even when we don't. But critical. And I thought he would get touched. Seriously. Coming back in back-to-back games and back-to-back days, guys, even in the major leagues, that shit's difficult for big-time pros. But he comes into the top of the seventh and gets his first strikeout to Fowler. He's leading off with 1-2-3. Gets Justin LeBron to fly out into center field. He gives up a double to Snell in the right field. Ball was tattooed. The one in the ninth got tattooed as well. He would give up an RBI line drive up into center field, and then he'd get an out. So he does give up a run. Guys, his ERA's still not above one at this point. We can live with it. Bottom of the seventh, you got walked down again. A couple of flyouts and a strikeout by Ashton Larson would get you out of the bottom of the seventh. Cowan would come back in, and he'd get a pair of strikeouts to Torres and to Young. He'd get a flyout as well, but Brady Neal did hit a line drive single into left field. Good on Brady Neal. You know, we did not get to talk about the LSU versus Auburn series last week because I was out of town. And you got swept. And all the talk was, Sammy Dutton shoved it down your face. He did. He did. Jay can't develop. And then Brady Neal goes to Bama, and it's still Brady Neal. And we miss it. And we don't want to talk about it because we got to be negative. Brady Neal's not had a good series. LSU stole more bases on him this weekend than they've done in all other SEC series combined. That is a fact. Look it up if you don't believe me. But he does get a line drive single in left field. Did have a big home run against you last night. Good for the young man. Good for him. Still took the series. So, nana boo-boo. Look at your shoe. Bottom of the eighth, Cade Arambidi would strike out. I think they're giving Luis Hernandez a rest. And they gave Cade Arambidi a shot here. Don't know what's up with Luis Hernandez. I mean, when you catch as much as he has the last week, 7 games in a week, or 5 games in a week, technically, I think he was a much-needed break. Good on him. Let's see if we'll see him tomorrow. Chris Stanfield gets his 4th hit of the night, gets an infield single to the third baseman, hard hit ball to the third baseman, a ground ball single into the 4-hole by Derek Curiel. So 1 out, runners on first and second. Danny Dickinson would come up and walk. Guys, bases loaded for Jerry Jones, and Stephen Milam could have blown the game wide open there. Couldn't deliver. Golly. I tweeted and asked during the midweek game versus McNeese, which midweek games don't matter. Y'all got to remember that. Even though they lead the Southland, even though they're going to be a tournament team, even though that they might more than likely be in your tournament. The country's longest winning streak at 17, by the way. Midweek games don't matter. They never have, never will. That's what I get told. Midweek games don't matter. Man. This is how I feel. How I feel is that you're a team that is one massive hit away by, in this situation, or early in situations, against Oklahoma, last weekend versus Auburn. Texas, where you're a hit away from, even though I think you're a top 8 regional host seed, instead of being in that bottom 8, being in the top 3. That's where I think that you're at as a team. In that being said, I feel like that you have a lot of clutch moments sometimes that you don't deliver in. Here's what I say all that to say this, and I want to make this very well known. It is of my faith and belief and just my overall take and opinion of just what I've seen. I feel like at some point this season, whether it be this weekend, whether it be next weekend, I mean, you've already won the series this weekend. Whether it be next weekend versus Tennessee, regardless of when it is, I feel like you're going to be in one of these situations, runners on second and third, bases loaded, and you're going to get a massive hit, and in one of these games, you're going to blow something wide open, and then you're just going to start rolling. That's where I feel like you are. You're doing this coming out of a slump. Man, somebody's got to get a hit in these crucial situations. You won a game 4-3, you're going to be in close games. But I feel like you're a pitch away, like I did last night with Larson. You're a pitch away from the team getting out of a slump. You're a pitch away in one of these big situations from making something happen. Wouldn't matter, though, because Zach Cowan would shut it down. I say shut it down. He gave up a run in the ninth. But would lock things down in the ninth for you to win the series. A line drive double into right field. He gets a strikeout, a sac fly, and then a line drive to Stephen Milam to end it. Guys, it is never easy. So, it is never easy to win an SEC series, ever. Here's the truth about where you're at, too. You have been on the road a lot. Every ranked opponent in the conference that you faced, you have been on the road. I think what we've looked at it from LSU's perspective is that you got Tennessee, Arkansas, and a very hot Texas A&M team right now. And you look at that in the beginning of the season, you go like, no, man, that's the stretch right there. And it is. So tough teams, tough opponents. Not going to act like it's not. we look at the first half of SEC play, and we say to ourselves, oh, man, you got Oklahoma. You should win that. Missouri, you should sweep that, which you did. You go to Texas, okay, that's a tough one. But you haven't faced one of these premier opponents, and I don't know if I'm calling Alabama that, but you haven't faced one of these opponents at home, right? I mean, you've lost two SEC series, Texas and Auburn. So you're 4-2 in series at the current moment. Guys, got to tell you, I'd take it. You're 33-6. I still feel like that you are on the cusp of being the team that you were built to be. I do feel like you're on the cusp of doing something very great. The question is going to become, when you start into next weekend versus a team like Tennessee, are you going to get those hits when you need them? Because every run's going to count there. But I feel like you're there. Who's going to seize the moment? And that will be the theme for me for this juncture of where LSU is at. Even when I don't know yet. Here's where I feel like I don't know if I've seen LSU's A+ game. I feel like I've seen a lot of A- games. Right? Like I feel like I've seen some very great performances. I don't know if I've seen you hit your full potential and you're still winning. You're still winning. Can you hit it by next weekend? I think you will. All right. We had a super chat in here from Dr. Butler. Says, welcome back. Welcome back to you, sir. Good to see you in here. Says, Tennessee Aggies, Arkansas, South Carolina are left in the SEC. Which series is most problematic? Knowing that nothing is easy. He sends a $50 super chat. Thank you so much, Dr. Butler. A lot of people will look at Tennessee or Arkansas. I would throw in there, depending on what happens tomorrow, too, with A&M. A&M is hotter than a crack spoon. They scare me. You're on the road there too. I will go Tennessee because I feel like if you win that series, you put everybody on notice. And you finally, one of these top-ranked opponents, you take down. Next weekend is a must-win series for Jay and for LSU. Because you can lose to A&M on the road. Okay, they're hot. I don't want you losing to Arkansas either. But I feel like you build momentum in winning coming out of Tennessee. Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe you guys don't feel that way. I feel like you win next week versus Tennessee, and you're like, all right, here we go. Here we go. That's how I feel. Thank you, Dr. Butler, so much for the super chat. But that's how I feel. I think next weekend is that. DA on YouTube says, Blake, these games shouldn't even be close. We strand and leave so many base runners and none of them cross home plate. That's our biggest problem, just my opinion. I don't think it's an opinion, DA. I do think we leave too many on. Here's the thing in that. I still don't think that you've hit that threshold. That's the thing that would scare me if I'm looking on the outside looking in for LSU. I haven't seen them play their A+ game. And if they do that next weekend, shit's going to break loose. I feel like you're there. I feel like you're going to get there. I feel like you're going to get there. So, and A&M, Randy Jones says it's 8-2 A&M over Arkansas right now. Guys, they're about to win a series against Arkansas. Getting it, Blake, they get swept against Auburn. Guys, I saw the national champion go on the road last year and get swept, or 2 years ago, whatever it was. I don't even remember what year it was. It happens, man. It happens. It happens. It happens. Got to get the football mentality out of baseball, man. Brandon Reese says, huge bounce back series after last week. Yeah, last week sucked. Last week was not fun for anybody. Not for you, not for the team, not for Jay, not for me, not for anybody. Last weekend sucked. Nobody can deny that last weekend sucked. fucking sucked. But you came back this weekend and responded. And guys, you go for game 3 tomorrow. Guys, I'm just going to tell you, if you're in 6 SEC series and you've swept Missouri, you swept Mississippi State, you swept Oklahoma, and you sweep Bama, and you get 4 sweeps in the SEC, I don't give 2 flying shits. No pigs in a blanket have an ass. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Because you're one win in the SEC away from automatically being in the postseason. You're a weekend past halfway. I will tell you this. I'm glad they got some of this kind of started working out on the road at Auburn versus at home against Tennessee. If you're gonna have it, let's have it. Because at some point, it doesn't matter who you are. At some point, the bats will go cold. At some point. 3 years ago, Tennessee went into a series versus Notre Dame to go to Omaha. Their bats went cold in a supers. Boy, don't you wish that they thought or felt like that they would have rathered that happening during the regular season. You in a 4-game series last year, or 4-game series, a 4 series in a row in the SEC, because you couldn't do shit at the plate. Number 1, A&M comes into town, you get 2 out of 3, you go on a run in the tournament, and you make a run, and you get to the postseason. And guys, you're a strike away from hosting a super regional on a team that went to Omaha and got a pair of wins. If that's the downest of down years, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it. Brandon says winning the Tennessee series will definitely give us the team a lot of confidence going forward, no doubt. It's the national champion coming into your home. You finally get back-to-back series at home, right? I mean, like you haven't had that. Everybody's had that really since you, besides you. I mean, guys, Texas at home again this weekend. Like, the fuck? Didn't they just have Georgia at home? You get what I'm saying? They had LSU at home, catering to their crazy asses. But nevertheless, look, fantastic team win. Fantastic win all around. You won another series. You go in there and you sweep these dudes tomorrow? Hell yeah. Hell yes. Let's go take it. Let's go sweep them. And if you don't, guys, you don't. They're a good team. I never came into this series. I never go into any series outside of Missouri think you're going to sweep anybody. Or that you will be swept. And guess what? It happens. It 100% happens. It would be very nice if you got swept and then you come back at home and then you sweep. It would be very nice. So we'll cross that bridge tomorrow when we're all here for the postgame. All right. Another super chat in here. It's our man, Jack. Jackie says, Blake, I'm LSU patiently waiting in the portal to strike. Here's what I'll tell you about the portal. All right, so let's move to the Ponderosa right quick. Since Jackie's in here and he sent us a very kind, very kindly sent us a super chat. There's been a lot that's going on since we've been gone, and now that we're back, LSU didn't have 2 spring practices. They've wrapped up the spring. We probably won't see Brian Kelly until August, which feels like a long time away, but in retrospect, it's not. We'll probably see him at SEC Media Days. So you got until July, technically, midway through July. So we're midway through April. So May, June, July. So you got 3 months, and then football will officially pretty much start kicking off. So let's get to it here. So 90 days, less than 90 days. And then you'll have SEC Media Days in Atlanta. Here's how I'm going to recap LSU spring right now. As LSU still had 2 practices outside of their spring game. There were some things that LSU did this week, like moving Josh Thompson into the starting rotation, getting some reps at left guard. Because the offensive line is a progress. I feel like that the narrative right now is that LSU does not want to go into the spring portal. And Brian Kelly said as much in the last press conference that we got him in. I don't mean what I'm about to say in a disrespectful way. That is bullshit. If there's somebody that is out there that they can get and will kick the tires on, they are already doing it. Brian Kelly went to the podium on Tuesday and said, I would like to roll into the season with the roster that I have now. I don't agree with that. I don't think that there's any way that you could have seen safety play and think that that's what you want to roll in here with. I don't think that some of the rotation at defensive tackle is something that you could say you want to roll into the season with. I don't think that anything along the interior offensive line, for what it's worth, especially when those guys face Sadir Mitchell and Ahmad Bro, who should be your starting 2 defensive tackles right now. I really don't think that you can roll in there with that. I do feel like at every other position, okay, roll with it, right? Maybe outside of running back, but you got the answer this week from Caleb Jackson. And I'll get to that in a minute. I still feel like that you need some pieces defensively. What I would say here is that even though that I feel as if that you still need some pieces defensively, defensive tackle and safety, that unit that's still out there during spring still did better than what your offense was able to produce. We have talked about this. We've had multiple guests on, guys besides me that have been out there. So don't just take it from me. Go watch any premiere that we did from this week. It is on YouTube and Facebook for you to go watch those full-formed videos. That unit still dominated in moments and did again on Thursday from every report that's out there. And I will admit, I was not there for this one. From every report, defense dominated the day to end the spring. I don't feel like offensively that you have been at the point that I feel like that you should have been at. I understand some of the excuses. Well, Barian Brown's not been running with the ones. That is a valid one. Nick Anderson, if he comes back healthy, that is a valid one. But I don't think that you've done anything in the running game, though, that would suggest to me that you're ready there. So we can talk about the passing game in any which way. We can talk about those. There's still not a lot of confidence that I have coming out of spring that you show me anything that you can be consistent in running the football. I don't know what that means. A lot of you try to dictate to me about what I've seen, whether you tell me I'm right, wrong, or indifferent. That's for you to decide. What I have seen is that you have not taken the step that I thought that I would hopefully see for you during the spring offensively. So, all in all, I'd say this. In reference to the portal, I don't think you go anywhere offensively unless it's a guard or a tackle, which you do need. I don't know if LSU is going to go get anybody on paper. What I would tell you is that if anybody tells you with a brain, if anybody tells you that they're not kicking the tires on guys that have entered the portal, they are lying. That is not true. They are looking for people. Brian Kelly said as much at the end because they have been playing portal politics here all spring. All spring they played portal politics. He finished his press conference on Tuesdays. We're kind of talking about this now and wrapping this thought up. He said, unless somebody is a really good fit for us, then we'll make a decision. Okay. So translation. Translation is this. we're not going to go take anybody that we don't think that can play here. But if there is somebody that can play here, we 1,000% are in the market, especially at the positions of need that we dictate. You need a tackle. You've moved 2 guards out to tackle, and they rotated in your 2 deep. I do not believe that is just a spring ball thing. What I 1,000% believe is that you don't feel like you have quality depth at tackle. You move 2 tackles that you recruited through high school. You move 1 into guard. Good on them. Good for you. Why they got reps at guard during the spring when they could have gotten reps at tackle is beyond me. That is what spring is for. Doesn't matter. What does matter is that they will kick the tires on it. I'm not guessing. So anybody want to run a clip that we will run to on 3 or wherever or 247 or wherever, fine by me. I'm telling you, they are kicking the tires on guys that are currently in the portal, and if any more do get in. At this point, on paper, I do not know if they will technically get anybody. I find it hard to believe that if somebody of quality gets in there, that they're not going to kick the tires on DT, safety, potentially interior or exterior offensive line. At running back, they're going to roll with Caleb Jackson. And I pray to God that it pans out. I do. All right. Colin says, enjoy the show, Blake. Thanks for all you do. Great content. Thank you, Colin. I do appreciate that. He also says, how about our baseball and softball teams this weekend? Dominating. Love it. Love everything about it. All right. We will see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a good night.